Northern Siberia, 1962. Long before Norilsk became the huge industrial city it is today, a separate zone on the outskirts was quietly fenced off. On paper, it was listed as deep geological and mining research. In reality, it was a closed facility under the Ministry of Medium Machine Building, the ministry that never researched, only mines. The site was known internally as Complex 513. Workers from the main combine said that at night Army trucks drove there with covered cargo, and power lines to that sector glowed brighter than the whole district. People asked, "What are they digging there?" and always got the same answer: permafrost research. The chief scientist was Dr. Alexei Voronin, a man whose earlier papers on electromagnetic vortices had quietly disappeared from Soviet libraries. He rarely appeared in town, always arrived in a black gas car, and always wore the same gray coat. He spoke politely, but you could tell this wasn't a mining engineer. According to later fragments from technical notes, V-13 was not looking for ore. They were trying to contain high-energy plasma in an underground chamber, away from satellites and away from American eyes. The idea was simple on paper. If you can hold a rotating plasma field stable, you can build weapons, power systems, even interception shields. Voronin and his team installed huge induction coils in a chamber cut directly into frozen ground. The tunnel walls were covered in frost even when the coils glowed hot. Technicians complained that compasses spun randomly and tape recorders erased themselves. By late 1962, the team reported initial containment achieved, a small, stable, luminous sphere inside a magnetic cage. It hummed at a low frequency, 45 hertz, just within the range that makes people uneasy. Guards on night shifts said they could feel the object through the floor. On January 17, 1963, a polar storm hit Norilsk. The main power lines flickered. On the surface, the city lost radio for a few minutes. Nothing unusual for the north. But underground in V-13, those few minutes were critical. The backup diesel generators kicked in, but with a delay. For several seconds, the magnetic field holding the sphere weakened. According to a surviving maintenance report, at that moment, the object increased in luminosity and diameter without external input. In simple words, it grew. People in the upper corridors heard a sound like metal breathing. Two workers said they saw shadows moving on the walls, though there was no light source. When rescuers finally opened the lower blast door, the corridor was burned and frozen at the same time. Instruments melted, but ice crystals hung in the air. Of the 47 people on shift, only 6 were found alive. They were in shock and repeated the same words. It was cold, but it burned. Moscow reacted in hours. A military commission arrived from Krasnoyarsk by plane. The entrance to V-13 was sealed. Survivors were taken away, not to hospital, but to a classified sanatorium. Their names disappeared from all records. The official version distributed to Norilsk factories said, "Accident in ventilation system, no radiation hazard." Yet locals remembered that for 2 nights the sky above the tundra pulsed with green light, though there was no aurora forecast. In 1993, a single notebook fragment surfaced from a private archive. It contained one final note in Voronin's handwriting. In 1978, during maintenance near the old shaft, workers reported strange vibrations. Officers reopened the upper chamber and found it untouched, except for the center, a sphere suspended in midair, rotating slowly, emitting a deep harmonic tone. Every attempt to film it failed. The film jammed or came out white. Soldiers nicknamed it the Frozen Heart. The object emitted no heat, no radiation, but wild magnetic pulses. One engineer noted, It's like it's not made of matter, but of space itself. The ministry ordered, "Do not disturb. Leave in place." And for another decade, the chamber was forgotten again. After the Soviet collapse, some Norilsk archives briefly opened. For a few days in 1992, a black and white photo could be found online. A dim tunnel, cables, and a glowing blur labeled P7/Norilsk/1963. Then it vanished. Former miners say that beneath modern Norilsk still lie sealed shafts, hundreds of meters deep, covered in red paint. During northern storms, old ventilation pipes hum with a rhythmic tone, like distant machinery still running. Guards who work night shifts say the same thing. Sometimes the ground vibrates, like something is breathing under us. Some secrets don't melt or fade. In the north, they simply freeze in time.